Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome out. I'm standing in front of my Skyfall display. I'm actually wearing my Aquaterra watch. Look at that blue. It's the new kid on the block. You'll have to forgive me. I'm like, blue! Because there's a line in Skyfall that I think is really appropriate for this video, and that is the whole question of Bond saying to M, then we're played out. And what he means by that is we're done. You know, we've had our day, we've had our experiences, but that time has come and gone, and we're done. Let the world take over from around us. We'll sink back into the recess of the shadows. The shadows, they always stay behind or in front, never on top. What's it from? Put it in the comments. And that's what this is about, is a question. And I did this, by the way, in a podcast, and I had the most amazing reaction that I wanted to talk about. And the whole idea was, is James Bond played out? And I don't mean just in Skyfall when he says that. I mean, is the character, is the franchise played out? Do we have nothing else to talk about? Now, the reason I'm asking this question and talking about it from a philosophical standpoint is because a lot of people are saying this, even like significant James Bond fans. And what they mean by this is that a couple different things. First of all, you've got the lightest little bit of level. These are people that still love James Bond. They still believe and know that another movie will be coming. Be patient. But they're right here saying there's this drought. That's what it's been called, this James Bond 007 drought. And because of that, there really is nothing to talk about. Now, content creators, some content creators have said that, and therefore their content, the consistency, the being prolific versus not prolific, is affected by it. You know, if they're down here and saying there's not a lot to talk about and there's no new movie to really feed those conversations, then guess what? They're not going to be posting anything. And you have quite a few people like that. You have whole Instagrammers, Instagrammers. You've got YouTubers, you've got the whole whatever, podcasters as well, who have put things on pause. Maybe they're not doing much. Maybe they're not doing anything at all. Maybe they've gone into a semi-retirement. Maybe they've gone into a full retirement. I don't care who's watching this right now. You could probably name a few, right? So if you don't have a lot to talk about, you can get this essence of being played out, and it affects what you do as a Bond fan. It also can affect, and again, we're staying at this particular level, it can affect how you feel about the character. Now, this isn't about just the future yet. We'll talk about that. This is talking about if there isn't this influx of official news or things from Eon or hope for the future, what's going to happen? You're going to either A, gravitate back to older movies like I'm doing right now. Can you believe that the Craig movies are considered older movies? What's going on here? You're getting old, David. That's what's going on here. But gravitating back and celebrating the older movies like we're doing with Goldfinger and The Man with the Golden Gun this year. We've got anniversaries galore. So the Bond community, the conversations, really since Dr. No's 60th, has been now gravitating back to celebrating the older movies and engaging in anniversaries because we have no movie to talk about. We have no little nuggets. We have no countdowns. The other thing that seems played out to some people, and this really started in earnest towards the tail end of last year, is things have gotten quiet on the product front, on the marketing front. And as somebody that, loves the marketing and products and evaluating things like that, the zeitgeist of everything that can be purchased, as a Bond fan, it does seem to be a bit quiet. You get things every now and then sort of peek out from 007.com and some of the other brands. They could be holding all their cards closer to James Bond, Global James Bond Day, or the Goldfinger timing of the anniversary. That could be a real thing. But again, we're starting to really go back to some of the older products and older moments. I see people revitalized and now starting to collect the Billy Reed P code, the one from Skyfall. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I myself went back and got the Skyfall Aquaterra. Because we don't have these things that we can pluck out and attribute our investment in time to. It's a little bit of this played out aspect with the marketing. So we've got the movie news and we've got the marketing. Now, all that being said, that's the Bond fan. You've got a different group of people, we'll call them fans of Bond, right? These are the people that simply like James Bond. They go see a James Bond movie every now and then, all different ages, genders, etc. Well, in some cases, and I always ask people this, when they find out I'm a big Bond fan, I always ask them, what do they think about James Bond? What's their favorite James Bond? I kind of do a quid pro quo. And what I'm finding is that a lot of people have said, was that the last one? No Time to Die? Is that it? Or what's going on with that? And then, of course, I always get asked, as if I have a crystal ball, of which I do not, who's going to be the next Bond? Do you know? Do you know who's going to be that? When's the next Bond movie? So we have questions coming to us as Bond fanatics, Bond major fans, super fans, whatever you want to call us, to answer these questions, and we do not have the answers. So all of that's going on in this sort of vein or theme of being played out. So the question is, with all these things not going on, right, this drought, whether it's perceived or real, how on earth do we battle that? How are we filling the time? Or are we played out? Now, some of you are already, 6 minutes in, you're commenting right now, James Bond is dead. We're played out. Stop it, David. Go like some other genre. Go like, Star Wars again or whatever. And I'm here to say, relax, breathe. Through the nose, out the mouth, through your butt, out the mouth. Not, how is it? Anyway, breathe, relax. James Bond is not dead. The franchise is not dead. Is it arguable that it's dormant, that they're taking a break? Yes, but Eon said they're taking a break, right? So how long that break is totally up to them. And the other thing is, if they're really on a break versus working on it, toiling behind the scenes, we will never know. They're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell the press until they're ready, and then we will know. The world will know. And there will be this releasing of the Kraken, this reawakening that goes on, and suddenly you're going to see this influx of content creators or people coming out of dormancy, these chrysalids, wiping off their eyes, this sunshine across the Bond community. But until that happens, is there anything that we can do to not only dispute this whole idea of being played out and Bond is dead and the franchise is done with? Can we, as not quasi fans, as real fans, but almost as supporters of the brand, can we do anything? And the answer, of course, is, or else I wouldn't have done this video, is yes. And by the way, you do not need to have a channel. You do not need to have a collection to do this. So number one, you can absolutely inform with a great amount of certainty to anybody that asks or cares to hear that James Bond is not dead. Yes, he died in No Time to Die, but that was an iteration. And you can explain that. You could say that was an arc. That was a version. That was a moment in time. And the great thing about the Bond characters, you can refresh it. You could do different things with it. There's still a lot of passion behind it from the makers and the producers and certainly the fans. There's a want out there. There's a financial reason to do it and not just a passion reason to do it. So James Bond will return. And you can even keep it as simple as that. James Bond will return. The other thing is to embrace and engage with James Bond. I mean, don't lower your passion and love for the character at all. Don't even dial it down. Watch a movie, get other people involved, join a community. Perfect example is there are internationally, almost no matter where you live, some aspect of a James Bond club. You've got the French one, you've got the Swiss one, you've got the German one, you've got the Japanese one, you've got the 007 GB, the British fan club. You've got all of and there's more. I'm forgetting so many, but you have more. Engage with them. They have events, but they have this series of belonging, this community that's going on right now that it fills the gap, it fills the hole, right? There's the whole idea of feeling played out is sometime about isolation. It's feeling like, because I'm not hearing and getting all of this input and engagement and information, then suddenly things must be gone, dead, played out. And the reality is, when you engage with others in these clubs, you get to hear all this news. You get these wonderful bits and pieces of newsletters and articles and magazines and tactile things that come in. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful because you realize that, oh my gosh, not only is it not played out, not dead, it's actually, in some ways with the fans, it's hitting this all-time high. It's hitting this crescendo of being maybe better than ever because it's being cranked, hand cranked by the fans themselves. And sometimes, I'm just going to say it, sorry, the things that come from fans are the best sometimes because they're so passionate. They know the character so well. And having a fan alignment to things, to me, just always makes things a little bit better. It adds a little bit of pepper and spice to it. All right. The other thing that you can do to avoid enjoying death and the whole played out aspect is, and this is a pretty simple one, and I know what some of you are thinking, online, social media, it's got a bad rap, and maybe appropriately so. I mean, Twitter, some aspects of Facebook, it's like Mos Eisley Spaceport. You'll never meet a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious. I think that's the quote. But with the social media aspects, they can be as bad or as good as you want. And sometimes you get out of it what you put in. Really, you do. Because one of the things I find with social media is I've seen the best of people, I've seen the worst of people. I've seen the best of experiences, I've seen the worst of experiences. So what you've got to do is, and should, is to really engage with the positive ones. Who are the curmudgeons that are just kicking the can and saying, this sucks, and this person stinks, and that Bond thing there. And first of all, to me, and I'm going to give you my opinion because it's my channel, I think that depletes a person. I think mentally, psychologically, it depletes a person. First of all, that individual who's sowing that amount of negativity, I think they've got some relevancy stuff going on. But more importantly, I think it's a situation where you're constantly reading bad news and reading all the issues and adopting those and weighing those down. Suddenly your back gets a little bit heavier and you're focused so much on this negativity and drama. You're not just focused on the positive light that's showering you in your life, the fortunate things. And so you stop counting the good things that are happening in life when you're peppered like a shotgun blast with negativity. But it's the same in the world of Bond. When you read some of these posts and some of these threads that are just so negative. So the whole idea of not feeling played out is to surround yourself, bubble wrap yourself with positive accounts. There are so many, and yes, on Facebook, on the ones that I just named, there are so many positive ones where people are saying positive things. They're posting wonderful pictures. They're posting pictures of other Bond fans in pubs, sharing drinks and conversations and weddings that they've had where there's a Bond moment and discussions that are uplifting and talk about the future. And look, I get it. Okay, I'm not some kumbaya creature just trying to hold hands and do a circle here. I'm a realistic person. Not everything is great or perfect in the world. I've got like over 900 videos, and not all of them are positive. Some of them are negative. What I'm talking about is trying to see the positive through the negativity. Talk about the negative, but see the positivity. Move on. Or if there's something negative, offer up a solution. What does Bond say? I'm not a problem solver, I'm more of a problem eliminator. There's 3 types of people in the world. Oh, German 3. There are problem observers. There's millions of those. Look, there's a problem. Look, there's a problem. You probably work with some of them, right? There's the problem solvers. They're the ones that raise their hand and go, I have the solution for the thing that everybody's pointing at. And they're great. Who doesn't like a problem solver? The highest pinnacle, the alpha level of individual, of any organization, group, what have you, is the problem eliminator. the ones that look at an issue and diffuse it, neutralize it. They are the part problem solver. They figure it out, they execute against it, and boom, the problem's gone. It's solved. And maybe even that problem is turned into an opportunity. So with Bond and feeling played out, what if you become a problem eliminator? This whole idea of negative stuff online, you create an elimination. You find a way around it. Or in any aspect of Bond, you find your own creativity in that ribbon. And I don't promise a lot of things on this channel. Actually, I'm very careful about that. But I will promise you this. If you adopt this type of positivity of not thinking that things are played out, this whole idea of problem elimination and positivity, you're going to enjoy the hobby so much more. You're going to enjoy every person so much more. And what you're going to find, because I'm in the pharmaceutical world, I can say this, the side effect of doing this is you're going to be a more positive person in your everyday world, with your family, your relationships, and most of all, yourself. And that's the last thing I'm going to talk about with this whole idea of being played out. That we have no more things to talk about with James Bond, that James Bond is dead. And that is, once you kill off James Bond in your mind and heart, and I think I can say this with some sort of accuracy because you're watching my channel right now. Chances are you're a fan or you're a new fan just exploring YouTube right now. Once you kill off James Bond and its future right now, a piece of you dies. And you're like, David, dramatic much? Hear me out. I truly believe that all these little moments of nostalgia, of the James Bond franchise, of the toys we played with, of the moments we've had at parties, or the moments, for example, that I've had with my father watching James Bond. Once you kill off the storyline and the journey that you're on with that character, a piece of you goes. That story ends. And what a sad moment it is for an exciting story to just end. That's why even with No Time to Die, I'm trying very hard not to focus on the very ending. I'm focusing, when people ask me about that movie, more on the positive things, Cuba and the beginning scenes and things like that. Because to me, that journey of Bond didn't end. It's just going to change. You know, new character, new actor, etc. And evolve it forward. So if you start to feel you're played out with James Bond and kill that aspect and the potential forward motion of this character, then you yourself are going to be a little bit less than who you are today. Again, all of this is speaking for myself. Bond as a hobby, maybe a little then some, has brought me so much joy, so much satisfaction, so many experiences, and so much of you, people, friends in the Bond community that I call my brothers and sisters, that I know I'm never going to feel out that played off version. And we're not played out. It's just, to me, going to be a line from Skyfall. So we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to do. And because of that, buckle up, because we got one hell of a year in front of us. Stay tuned for more. How's that for a continuation forward? James Bond will return. And so will the Bond Experience. And this has been David Zaritsky from the Bond Experience. Thanks for listening. We're going to talk to you real soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.